Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is James, or Mr. Fury the Great, and today we're actually going to be breaking down a solo tank guide. I got a few comments on my previous video asking for like a little bit of a solo tank. How do you do this here? I'm going to break down some gameplay later in the video, but we're first going to like talk about like just a few slides here of like what you need to be aware of in your game and just things that should be like fresh on your mind, just to make sure that I don't miss out and don't cover them in the gameplay breakdown. If you don't know, my name is Mr. Fury the Great. I am a current GM1 player in Marvel Rivals. I play a bunch of other games like Counter-Strike, Apex, Overwatch. Played all these games, love these games, love the competitive nature, and just want to provide this information to newer players that are struggling or want to know how they can win games as the solo tank for their team, because sometimes it does feel unwinnable when you're playing against two tanks. How can you facilitate that pressure? How can you take advantage, and how can you win your games? So let's get right into it. So this is the solo tank guide by the most amazing, hilarious, hardworking, and humble Marvel Rivals player, yours truly, Mr. Fury the Great. Let's get into it. So the first thing you want to be aware of is your character you're playing, right? Like, are you playing, what tank are you playing? The team comp and the game mode that you're playing. So it's always really important to have kind of this idea of like what tanks you're confident in, making like you're playing ranked, you're playing quick match, whatever you're doing, you're playing solo tank. Always try to be playing something that you have confidence in to some capacity. Even if that confidence is a practice range session that's 3 minutes long of you understanding abilities, that's something that some players might not have. The first question I always ask is, does my team need a shield? Do we need a dive? Do we need an anti-dive? Are they playing Black Panther, Magic, Spider-Man, Venom? Are they doing all this stuff to dive us? Do we need a penny here? Do we need Hulk here to dive with my other dive characters? Do we need Venom here to dive here? And just being aware of like, okay, what can I do to help my team the best? Do we need a shield like Magneto where we're absorbing a lot of damage, using the Magneto to kill a Cloak and Dagger? Or do we need something like a Doctor Strange where we can actually like get a big stun off or portal back into the point? What is your actual focus and what does your team need? It's really important to like identify that early, or identify what as a player you want agency as, right? So just be aware of that. Play around your team. It's so important. Play around your team. As the tank, you are the front line. You're the person who's always going to be taking a brunt of the damage, but it's important to play around your team. Hey, we don't have support ults here. Let's build them quickly and then go in. Make sure you're aware, even though you are the one with the most HP, you're not the most important player in the game. It's a team game. You all have equal value. I know it's a crazy concept, but you all are equal, right? You're all in the same game. So the next is instill confidence into your team. Make sure that you're aware, even though sometimes you have a DPS that's going like 4 and 9, right? Dying a lot. Instill confidence in them. Hey, we got this next fight, guys. Don't worry. Because if you're as the tank or the one crumbling, your team is going to really lose confidence, right? Even if a support is trolling, I've won games as solo tank because I was staying overly positive. And I've also lost games that were completely winnable because I went super negative with my communication, right? So it's just be aware, instill confidence in your team. You are the tank. You're the bastion of hope. Be that for your team, right? Next is communicating those cooldowns. So, you know, for example, I'm going to use Magneto a lot because I have a lot of playtime on Magneto. There's going to be a Magneto guide coming soon, by the way. Communicate cooldowns. Hey, my bubble's coming up. Hey, my ult's here. I can stop the Cloak and Dagger. Stuff like that, right? Hey, my shield's up. Play back. Play behind me. Play behind me. Same thing with other tanks. Hey, I'm playing Hulk. My bubble's down. Hey, I'm on Venom. My symbiotic shield is... all these things. It's important to communicate your cooldowns as the tank because that really helps with your team's overall positioning and how they can actually overall plan their next like engagement, right? It's a game of team fights, so it's very important to communicate your cooldowns because sometimes these team fights can be 45 seconds long, sometimes they can be 5 seconds long, so just be aware of that. Next is situational awareness, and that will be easier to talk about when we actually do the gameplay breakdown after this, but just be aware of like the situation you're in. Who is the threat on the enemy team? Who is the carry on your team? Are you the tank, the one doing the most damage? Are you the one getting all the final hits? That's fine, but be situationally aware and then prioritize what you need to prioritize in each situation. And that'll be much easier to talk about in the gameplay, so just hold off on this point for now. And then, you know, the game mode. Are we playing Convoy? Are we playing Domination? One thing I will say is whenever you're playing Convoy, shield tanks are a lot better on this game mode because you're always fighting front to back, front to back, front to back. You're not on like these circular points like Domination. In domination, you actually have like quite a lot of freedom. I've lost games to solo tank Penny Parkers in Grandmaster in domination game modes where I'm playing a shield tank because they just get the stuns off, they roll us. It happens, right? Just be aware of that. Be aware that the game mode actually has a lot of effect on what characters are strong there, and also the game mode has a lot of effect on what you can be doing as a player. Next is understanding your role. Tanks are the front line. You are not the leaders. And that is something that I've had to learn over time. Being a tank player in Overwatch, being a tank player in League of Legends, even though you are the person with the most health, you are the person that's going to be taking most of the action, you are the front line. You are not the leader. Sometimes the DPS can be the person making the first engagement, being the one that's leading your team, being the one that's finding all the weaknesses of the enemy team and then being leader. Sometimes it can be a support where your cloak and dagger is just going off the grid. Your invisible woman is pushing all the high priority targets out, canceling ultimates with Luna. It can sometimes happen where it's a team game again. Just because you're the one with the most HP and you're the biggest character on the map, it doesn't mean that you're the leader. So just be aware of that. Sometimes it's okay to listen to others. And I'm guilty of being someone who's like, oh, my team isn't listening. I'm a solo tank. How are we losing? Just be aware that sometimes, even though you are the tank, you're not the leader, right? Like sometimes listen in, communicate to your team. Hey, I'll bubble you here. Go for a big play. Give them confidence, let them lead, let them take charge, right? And I also stay positive and look for opportunities. As mentioned, we're just going to talk about this a lot, but staying positive is so crucial in a team game, right? Sometimes your mental can win you the game. I had a game, funny enough, yesterday where we were actually winning. We were rolling every team fight, and then right when it started to go south, one of our players started having a crash out, right? He started telling us everything we're doing wrong. And what does that do? It makes every single person in the lobby who's playing wrong by their means not want to try. So what do? We lost the game that was entirely winnable. And what happened when the last 5 seconds of the match? He was screaming at every single player on what they did wrong. Of course he played perfect, right? If you're screaming at others, you had to have played perfect. It's not true, but it's just an example. Make sure that you stay positive, even if you're losing the game, even if you're losing your rank, even if it's a demote game, right? Even if you're on the most diabolical loss streak of all time, staying positive has a great effect on your overall chances of winning a ranked game. Also, do not put yourself in 50-50 scenarios if you are the solo tank. And I can say this a million times. I can say this 1,000 times. Don't put yourself where you're 2v6, your 4 of your teammates are wiped and you're a tank and you go in and try to go for a big ult to get the point back. Sometimes games are lost, and we have to accept that. Games get lost sometimes, and it's better to just go for something that's more advantageous, like a 60-40 scenario than a 50-50 scenario. Don't try to take coin flips. Don't take situations where I could go for this big ult here, or I could just ult and protect my team. Try to always do what the safest play is, because as a solo tank, you don't have much room for error, right? You want to try to make the least mistakes as possible. Force the enemy to make mistakes. Make them play into you. Protect supports. I can't say this enough. If you're the tank, it's truthfully your job to protect supports. Sometimes people are like, oh my god, we're getting dove. Where's my Namor at? Where's my turrets at? I help with the Black Panther. Sometimes it's just easier if the tank turns around, helps their supports, bubbles them, shields for them, attacks the diver with them, and then the problem is just eliminated, and then you can just move on to the next situation, right? And then again, position for your team. I've seen this countless times. I see it still happening in Grandmaster 1 lobbies, Celestial lobbies, is where people position so aggressively. Like they get one pick and then the tank just runs forward. But if the tank stayed 3 steps back, they could do the exact same thing they're doing by walking forward and then still win the team fight a lot easier. So just be aware of that. Understand your role. You're the solo tank. You're the one who can make the least amount of mistakes. So if you're in that situation, try to just stay calm and just take advantage. Now, sometimes we can't always win with solo tanks. So sometimes you just have to ask for another tank. And I just want to mention this. We're going to have some gameplays of only solo tank gameplay, and we're going to break it down, what we could have done, what we could have done better, what we did wrong. But here's how to ask for another tank if you want to know. Some games are lost. Just be aware of that. It's okay. Don't get too upset, right? Define the issue that you're facing if you are that solo tank. Hey, I'm playing insane on Hulk here. If I had a shield, we could really roll these guys. Say that. Tell them the exact issue you're facing, because then maybe you can get some help. Maybe they can even go to Mr. Fantastic and go into refrigerator form and, you know, help you, be a little bit of a shield for your team, do something. You can also just admit that you're terrible and you need someone to come to your rescue. Sometimes acting terrible can just get you somewhere. You can also just ask for a Venmo, a Cash App, a Zelle. Hey, I'll toss you $20 if you switch to tank here. And then right when they drop that link, you leave the lobby and you avoid that player and you add them to your block list. You never see them again. You can also give them a Discord date offer, put a little heart in the chat, a little ooh woo. You don't know how far that will get you. So now that we've talked about a little bit about the fundamentals, what you should be aware of, let's get into the gameplay. Okay, so we are now here breaking down a game where I was playing solo Hulk with a team of 3 DPS and 2 supports, right? And I was against 2 tank, the whole gamma team up. This is in a GM1 lobby. So let's break it down. So I actually showed up a little bit late here. What do? I immediately try to just punch both of the tanks, let them know I'm here, jump to the point. My magic gets a really big pick on the Iron Man, which is just by fault of that Iron Man being really isolated from his team. I actually want to, let's pause that and let's like rewind actually. So if we toggle the POV, let's go back. Okay, so when the match started, the Iron Man immediately isolated himself from his team, right? He put himself in a hypothetical 1v6 situation. We know a 1v1 occurred, right? But he completely isolated himself at the start of the game. This is okay to do if you're 100% confident that you're going to get a pick, right? Like, oh, I know where this guy is coming from, or oh, I can out-damage this guy. But when you don't have any knowledge on the enemy team comp at the very first fight of the game, this is actually the worst thing you can do, is go for like a solo dive pick. Unless you're a dive character. Iron Man's actually someone that's really, really strong with the Gamma team up, but also very vulnerable. So what happens? He immediately hits a key. He immediately goes back to spawn, right? And what can he do? He can just sit and watch his team fight the rest 5v6. So what ends up going down is fight the tank, grab the Doctor Strange out of the air, always trying to grab flying targets as Hulk, right? And then just going back and forth to the back line, trying to shield as many people as possible, build up my ult charge if they break that bubble. I'm already at 40% ult charge, right? And the game just started. The other Hulk's also around that percentage as well, so I'm not like doing insane, right? But it just letting you know. Jumping out. A little bit of an overextension, and then just looking at this guy, stun this guy, and then we just try to position. He gets pulled, and then we position between him and his team. This is something really important as well to do as solo tank, is position yourself between picks, right? Force them not to be able to heal that guy that gets caught. So you'll notice a lot of times I'm just kind of holding down my left mouse when I'm playing Hulk, and that's just something that's just, I don't know, I just find it funny, just swinging around, punching the walls all the time. You know, it doesn't hurt just to hold down left mouse. It's free, right? Can't complain. And here I am just trying to punch, jump in, jump out, and just be a pressure my team. We get a nice support ult here. What do? I immediately jump onto the Namor ult that I see. I go for a support pick. I shield. I jump back to my team, make sure they're safe. We kill a tank. I jump back to my team, make sure they're still okay. Okay, we killed the Hulk. We're good. He's in banner. Go for a stun. Jump back in. Throw some punches, shield a little bit, eat some of the damage. Go Monster Hulk here, and this happens quite a lot, but especially when you're in a when you're solo tank, I kind of like to use my Monster Hulk super aggressively like this, where I'm just like going for supports, I'm just diving their spawn. Oh, I got Monster Hulk here, their tanks are dead. I'm just gonna try to go in and murder them. So they're all sitting around their spawn. I hear I'm opening a portal. I comment to my team, hey guys, they're doing a portal. We all start to back up. What do? I immediately go to the point. I hear the portal's top right. I immediately jump on them, and I'm just trying to create pressure. Hey, I'm the tank. Hey, you guys can't forget about me. Jump to my team. I get super low here, but I get saved. Great support gap. And just trying to create as much pressure as possible. That's also a bad habit. I waste my exile a lot trying to shoot the exile at the cloak and daggers, but don't do that. You can't stun cloak and dagger during their ultimate. They're CC immune. After the ult finishes, you can stun them, but not during it. Here we are. We lost the fight. What do? We just back up. We back up. Hey guys, okay. Back up. All good. We just regroup here. We just need to regroup. Throwing some squids at me. I noticed the Namor's there, and I noticed the Hulk is being very disrespectful because he doesn't understand that I can just stun him. So what do? I just try to stun him.
He actually saves me from getting CC'd here because he exiles me, which means I'm only able to take damage from the other Hulk until the exile finishes. And then I kind of do a little bit of a feed where I jump too far, and then I'm immediately cut out and deleted. And then what does that do for my team? It forces my team to back up because I'm the solo tank. So I made a pretty big mistake by jumping in when I should not have, when I could have just been standing there. And then the Hulk immediately took advantage. But the Hulk said, hey, bro, you feed, I feed. And then he runs it down into my spawn, gives us a free one, and then we can just run back into their team. Here I am. Notice the Namor's way too far up. We immediately jump on this guy. I see the Iron Man in the top left. I'm calming it to my team. Iron Man top left. And then I see that this guy is going to go for his ult here. So what do? I try to slam him out of the sky. And I miss it, which happens. But just letting y'all know, I see, like, why is the Strange not on point? Oh, he's going for his ult. And then what I do? We get the pick. I immediately go into Monster Hulk, and I just try to kill supports here. Always trying to kill supports. Right-clicking them out of the air. And then, you know, do a little bit of a Hulk difference. Hey, I don't recommend doing this at home, but sometimes when they pick Hulk, you just have to, like, let them know that you're the better Hulk, you know? Just grab them a little bit, toss them around. We'll skip ahead here. It doesn't really matter, like, the character select screen. So on this map here, actually, this is a map where... I mean, this is my least favorite of this series of 3 maps, just because of how open this one is. And I immediately am just jumping for the Iron Man. And this is actually a round where I have too much focus on the wrong target, and it's important to talk about, right? So I hard focused the Iron Man way too hard here instead of worrying about being the solo tank because I was confident because we won the previous round. What does that do? It hurts our chances of winning the game. So what am I doing here? I'm bullying the Iron Man, and I could just be on the point with my team even though they're capping it, and then what happens? I'm overextended. I'm really overextended, and I die. So these type of mistakes they're inexcusable. I'm aware of what the problem was, but because of the situation of the game state, I was like, oh, I can for sure just run in there and do all this, carry my team, right? Oh, I can just kill this Iron Man again. And I was way too confident. So this is me realizing that, and then just trying to recoup from that. So I hear the Hulk coming. What do? I'm just using third-person camera here, which I recommend like a lot of you guys try to do. Abuse the third-person camera. Punching the Hulk. Hey, don't push my team, man. Leave him alone. Don't push my team, bro. And what he's going to do here is he's going to try to look for his Monster Hulk, and I'm just going to try to position and help my team out. So we get a pick, they get the trade immediately, and we're in a 5v5 game state. What I'm trying to do here is jump to the point, and then I hear the Monster Hulk, so I have to immediately turn around and protect my team, just in case. I immediately go to the point, trying to just create the space, get the point if I can. Go into Monster Hulk. I see the Iron Man's just flying up in the sky. I right-click him twice, kill him, and then I'm just trying to sit here looking for picks, get an easy pick on the Raccoon. This is actually another mistake where I grab the Hulk, even though I could have just been swinging and helping my team, pushing them out of the Cloak and Dagger ult, but it ends up winning us the fight anyway, which is okay. Here I am just punching, swing out of Doctor Strange, and we finally get that kill. We still haven't capped the point here, by the way. They're doing a great job stalling us. We finally get the point, and I again start greeting for the Iron Man. Just walking up, running up, getting super low, way too low for my support's probably comfort. And then I see in my third-person camera, I see Doctor Strange is looking for a portal. So what I run up and I go for an exile, and the Cloak and Dagger saves the day, and they get a nice little portal. But I do want to notice, this portal here, even though it may work out for them, I don't think this is a good portal, because they ended up putting themselves on a high ground when they could have just put themselves safely behind the point or something, right? They could have put themselves immediately onto the point, but they put themselves like on this high ground here. So what that actually does, it gives me like an outlet to then activate into the fight, right? So I immediately jump on the point and I start contesting them. If they would have put themselves on the point, they probably could have got this halfway capped. I see a little armor pack. I'm looking for the rocket, swinging around, looking for the rocket. I don't want him to get a res beacon up because I'm hoping that we can win this fight and he doesn't get a res up. Here I am, just swinging, trying to just create pressure, kill the other tanks, bully them off, and then I'm noticing, oh, my health is really low. Oh no, I need health. Jump to a health pack. trying to look for a bubble. I'm spamming my Q here, by the way. Literally spamming my Q. And I end up, they don't break my shield, and I end up don't getting Monster Hulk here. But I was spamming it, hoping they could get Monster Hulk and just delay a little bit more time. It probably wouldn't have done anything in hindsight, right? So that round ends up being a loss. We end up dying here. We try to delay it a little bit, but the round ends up being a loss regardless. So let's just go to the next point. So after some quick adjustments of being aware of what the problem was me overgreeding for an Iron Man. What do? I immediately go back on the point, and I start just trying to let this Hulk know that I am the Hulk difference. I notice here that they left their supports super isolated, and I have Monster Hulk. So what do? I immediately just go and try to disrupt, and what happens? 5 people jump on me, and that's the pressure you can create with solo tank, right? Immediately, 5 players on their team ignore the rest of the map and go solely for the Monster Hulk, and I get out with 40 HP in a dream, right? Super, super lucky, but also super happy that I got to make that play and got to dive on their supports and make a fight that probably seemed pretty difficult to win, a lot easier to win, right? So we end up getting some kills here. I tell my team, hey, let's try to play aggressive here, guys. Just try to play up on this corner. We don't really want to let them get space on point. And here, actually, what I'm doing is I am looking for the Strange Portal. I didn't really think, like, he didn't have... The Strange Portal's not up yet. But actually, here what I'm doing is I'm kind of going behind their backline. I was waiting for him to say, opening a portal, and then go for an exile. But then I noticed, okay, this is a free jump for me to get on supports. So I try to pre-bubbles the CC in case the Luna stun comes out. And then what ends up happening is they have to turn around. One of them is super isolated. You're just pulling the ebb and flow. I hear the maximum pulse. That's not happening in my game. It's a no-fly zone, buddy. Sorry about that. Take him out of the air. And it's just keeping up this type of rhythm of gameplay. You know, creating pressure, diving the backline, stun this guy, punch him right before that ends. He ends up getting stunned. That's a huge chunk of damage, and then he staggers a lot. And now I know in my head, okay, he is going to portal no matter what here, if he has it. And I noticed that they're kind of poising like he's going to portal. So I see on my third-person camera, he goes a little bit to the right. What do? I immediately jump right, and I go for the exile, and I get it. Stop the portal, right? Just be a nuisance. I'm aware of what my character can do. And I'm aware that the only win condition they have is if they can portal into the point. What do? I jump in, and in the middle of the jump, I transfer to Monster Hulk, and I'm just trying to kill supports. Kill supports, kill supports, make it impossible for them to walk in on this point. And then I end up actually getting super, super low. And saved by an invisible middle that's on the corner, and I barely make it in. Sneak in there, and then their Cloak and Dagger actually ults, but it doesn't reach the point here. So I try to exile. I miss the exile, but then I can just fight her on the point. We end up getting that kill. I notice that their support is here. They're hella. Everyone's trickling in. And then by this point, the game is already over, right? The game is won. So what's really important to note is that notice how different I had to play for each point, right? Like I had to play super hyper aggressive on the third point. I had to play with my team really hard on the first point. The second point I kind of threw because I was being overly aggressive. It's just being aware of each of those conditions and making sure that even though you're the tank, you're the one with the most HP, sometimes your playstyle has to be super dynamic. So just be aware of that. I'm going to do a Magneto breakdown next. It'll be a complete Magneto guide. I've been playing a bunch of Magneto. He's a fantastic tank. He might be the best tank in the game, actually. I think he's actually better than Strange in a lot of cases, just because of Magneto's ultimate having the power to kill support ultimates. It's just so valuable in this current meta. So please look forward to that. Thank you guys for watching the video. If you made it this far, comment pickles. Have a good one. Peace.